Hello everyone and welcome back to Crypto Atlas. We have more crypto news, we've got more price movements, and let's go ahead and get straight on into it. First up, we've got XRP Ledger. It just exploded into the top 4 RWA blockchains globally. We have a nice little graph here that's presented by Ripple Zaidi. And so we're seeing a nice progressive movement going upwards here, the XRP Ledger metrics. And let's go ahead and move on to the next bit of news with Ripple X. So in less than a year, XRP Ledger has climbed from the top 10 to number 4 on the RWA with their league table, making it one of the fastest growing RWA ecosystems in the space. And today, XRPL is home to a growing range of tokenized financial assets on chain, from US treasuries and money market funds to commercial paper, structured credit, and more. Bringing assets on chain is an important milestone. Expanding what those assets can enable across financial markets is part of the broader opportunity ahead, and one of the XRP community is building toward together. Also, South Korea is considering abolishing its planned 22% crypto tax, and that would include, you guessed it, XRP. Also, XRP ETFs pull in about $42 million in net inflows over the past week as US spot Bitcoin ETFs shed $1.4 billion and Ethereum funds also bleed. Kevin Warsh is to be sworn in as Fed chair today at 11 a.m. Eastern time. That is very close to the time while I'm recording this video. And like Crypto Sensei is saying here, we'll see how this changes things. People are very worried about some of the decision making that he might do, and I'm curious if he's going to be making those announcements very shortly after being sworn in. So I think the markets are reacting to this a bit negatively at the moment. We can actually see Bitcoin right here. It is dropping down as we're getting closer and closer to that new Fed chair being actually sworn in. So we're down 1.13%. We're not really seeing a bottom wick, just barely at the moment, but essentially the candle itself is just in free fall at the moment. And the volume itself is very low right now. We're trying to compare this to the volume for the entire day yesterday, the day before. But yesterday, let's go ahead and talk a little bit about that. We did have a rise up. That Fibonacci retracement zone, as I've been mentioning, sitting at about $78,000. It essentially got rejected right there, came down, and it did close out green for the day at about $77,500. We saw a low right around $76,600. Right now, we're at essentially that same point, looking to try and retest that. And the Bollinger Band itself, we can see, is starting to widen out just a tiny little bit, just a little bit. So right now we're actually seeing it at a level of support about $76,150. That is going to be a level that you want to watch. We do have several instances that are right around $76,000. We have an instance here on May 18th, the next day, May 19th, and then potentially we could be seeing that, as it does seem to coincide pretty closely with where the Bollinger Band is itself right now, or where it's more likely to be on trajectory in the next 24 hours for the new daily candle formation. And just zooming out a tiny bit right here, we can see that the Bollinger Band itself is essentially moving sideways. We're going to be taking a look at XRP and their price chart later on in the video. But for Bitcoin itself, it is not looking so great. Using my technical indicators and the bit of overlapping, I created this system where right here on May 13th, lo and behold, it was suggestive of an entry of a short position. And although we did try to see some climb on May 14th progressively, what did we see? A further decline. It has essentially dropped down more and more and more here. Now, this is not perfect all the time, because you can see here we had a bit of movement for back on May 5th where there was a long entry. It did climb up, started to pull back there, ended up dropping down a little bit further than where we had that long position. But this is the big one right here. There's an indication back on April 29th suggestive of a short, but what happened was it went on a really nice rally. So that changed to a long position right near the end of the rally. Well, before a pullback, and then it continued on, but the high point was technically the next day. Now let's go and move on. There's a crypto exchange. If you guys have not heard of this, it's called BTCC, and I do have my referral link in the description below, but let me explain why they have so many beautiful things going on here. They've been around for 13 years. You get access to over 300 crypto futures, up to 250x leverage, and there's no VPN or KYC required to get started. And also, you get bonuses. There is a 10% deposit bonus when you deposit over $500 in USDT. And there's extra bonuses that also go up to $10,055 per user. So if you guys want to check this out, if you want to get started, you can find that link down in the description below. And up next, from Ash Crypto, let's take a look at what's happening with the US stock market. Well, when markets open, it was actually green for the day. You have $400 billion that's been added. This comes as Qatar reportedly sent a negotiating team to Tehran with US officials to help secure a peace deal. Doesn't mean that the peace deal is being signed, but there are new attempts at it. The Bitcoin Fear and Greed Index is sitting at 28, so I believe this is essentially where we were yesterday. It really hasn't moved there. We're still in the fear territory. And for US Congress, they just formally introduced recently a new strategic Bitcoin reserve bill. The bill will ensure US sells no Bitcoin for at least 20 years. This is huge. If it actually goes through, 20 years is a long time. We'd be looking at what, 2046? I think 2047, because I don't think the bill would actually go into effect until next year. But yeah, looking around 2046, 2047. And up next, the Japan's Nike just posted its highest ever weekly close. It is now up plus 25% in the last 7 weeks, adding 285 trillion yen. That's about $1.8 trillion to its market cap. That is crazy. 7 weeks going up 25%. I'm telling you guys, this thing is a bubble, and when it pops, it's going to be absolutely tragic. You cannot just keep going up, 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 and up, and up. And this is a significant move in what I would consider less than 2 months of time span. I would say that this is quite fast. Very, very fast. And as is pointed out by Ash Crypto, they added over $210 billion in a single day after inflation dropped to 1.4%, its lowest level in 4 years. Japan's economic conditions supporting risk assets, which is bullish for crypto. And then we have 2.05 trillion, that's about $45 billion, has been wiped out from Turkey's stock market in just 8 days. I believe this is the lira. I might be wrong, but I think it's Turkey's lira. The BIST 100 is now suffering one of its worst weekly crashes since the 2008 financial crisis. Turkey is getting hammered really bad right now. The S&P 500 call volume soars to new all-time highs. So we're looking at it about 2.6 trillion notional. And as I was mentioning with Turkey's stock market, here's just another illustration for you guys showing that it did drop down quite considerably. At one point, the BIST 100 sitting at, going back in time here just a little bit, not even that far, at about 14,000, and then dropping down to 13,163. So nearly 1,000 in drop, 848.13 to be exact, or 6.05%. And let's go ahead and see what's going on with XRP's price movement. So very similar to what's going on with Bitcoin. Let's pull these up side by side. You can see that right here for XRP, the bottom, we've essentially created ourselves just a falling candle. And with Bitcoin, go ahead and zoom in a tad bit here. It does have a little bit of a wick, slightly pulling up, just minutes away while I'm recording the video of the new chair being sworn in. And we have to wait and see how things continue to play out with this. Let's go ahead and zoom out a little bit more for XRP. I did create a new line of support in my previous video, and lo and behold, where are we at right now? We're essentially right on that line. So there's a little bit of a bounce taking place right there. It did slightly dip down below, but right now it's essentially sitting on that level. If it drops down even further, we might see a significant drop, but as it is, it's trying to hold itself up. We did have 2 green days previously. We had 5 days of red candles. Lately, we're seeing a bit more red than green, but 2 days of green candles is slightly good. Volume itself right now is on track to likely pass the volume that we had on May 20th, which is Wednesday. And with it being a Friday, there's a good chance that we see things start to slow down over the weekend. As far as volume goes, price movement might still be fairly significant, but we tend to see volume start to drop down over the weekend and then rise back up again as we start up on a Monday. So keep an eye on $1.35. Right now, that's where we're sitting at. And also, if it does decide to climb back up, we'd be watching at $1.40. Makes sense psychologically. It's on the Fibonacci retracement. It matches up on our support line. It fits even pretty well. It's pretty close to here with the bottom Bollinger Band. Not exactly on it. The bottom Bollinger Band is about $1.34. It might try and test that as well and then pull back up. But that's what I got for you guys in today's video. And I appreciate you tuning in. Stay safe. Thank you so much to my Patreon supporters, my YouTube members. God bless you guys, and we'll see you in the next video. Peace.